Hi, everybody. This is 1,128 days, I believe. 28 days. Wow. 1,128 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And we have breaking news again today. More and more witnesses are coming forward with information, and I'll get to that. But I needed to make a few points. Um, the truth is coming out. What we have revealed is only the tip of the iceberg. We did yesterday mention and show the white 2004 van. It's a Pontiac, Montana. That's allegedly, seemingly, evidence indicates that it is part of this case, the case against our son, forced disappearance, and presumed premeditated murder. So, the affidavit, the notarized, Leilani Hart's notarized criminal complaint affidavit that I've posted, absolutely, it is not confidential. We have had that affidavit. We have been talking about that for months, right? For months, months. I've been telling everybody about the alleged, the not alleged, Leilani Hart notarizing an affidavit that says her household was raping a 7-year old in her master bedroom, that her household had child pornography continuously in it, that there has been pedophilia and incest in her household, that her husband um, engaged in buying weapons illegally, being in possession of weapons illegally, that he threatened her life. Those aren't my words. Those are all in that notarized criminal complaint confession affidavit of Leilani Hart's words. Leilani Hart's. I called the notary public. He said absolutely it was Leilani Hart. He notarized it. Um, absolutely. It was accepted by the CID and the FBI. Why? Because why do we know that it was accepted? Because we have the case numbers. So it was taken seriously. It was accepted by the CID and the FBI. And when you have a criminal complaint affidavit that has been notarized, that is a confession. Okay, it's a confession of her crimes. Leilani Hart is confessing her own crimes. Um, you know, knowing that her husband, in her words, this is not me, has been a pedophile, right? And with child pornography. And then she leaves her friend's children in his care, right? Knowing what she knows, and then taking 2 years to even, just about 2 years, to even report that this 7-year old was raped in her master bedroom by multiple members of her household. Um, yeah, that is a confession of a crime against innocent children. There is, when you have a weaker members of our society being victims like this, there is no privilege of confidentiality with this affidavit. Matter of fact, let me make sure that I'm on. Make sure that I'm on. because this is very, very important because of what is being said out there. And we want to make it very, very clear that there is no confidentiality privilege to this affidavit. Okay, let's see. See if I'm on here. Okay, there I am. Okay, I can see everyone. So this is really happy Sunday, right? Happy Sunday. And it is because more and more witnesses are coming out. Our alliance is growing. We're getting more and more intel, and there is, because you cannot be so criminal and not leave the pollution behind, right? Not leave the trash. You can't be such a destroyer, a pollutant, and not leave the trash behind. And so people are, and that's why we have been so blocked by the media, because once the name Leilani Hart gets out there, then people come forward and say, "Oh yeah, oh yeah," and so it has taken us 1,128 days to get to this point. But, you know, sure and steady wins the race. And this is like an I am Spartacus moment, because we had a very, very brave soldier yesterday put in a request for a congressional inquiry with Representative Veronica Escobar, and copied to Senator Ted Cruz. So this is very, very important. And he is, I can tell you this right now, he is putting himself in in a place that no one really wants to be. That's why they were shaking, right? That's why that paralegal during our car parade when we stopped was shaking. That's why Command Sergeant Major Jerry Jakovitz, I call him Shaky Jake, was shaking. No one wants to be brave in this situation because there's risk, right? But this soldier, we need to get behind. We need to get behind. And when you know that this affidavit has no privilege to confidentiality because it involves children, right? It's a proof of crime affidavit. Okay, it's not a victim affidavit. It is a proof of a crime affidavit. And so there's no confidentiality when you have this proof of a crime when it comes to crimes against children. Okay? No one has the right to confidentiality when they hear that there is child trafficking going on, sexual crimes committed against children. There's no confidentiality there, no privilege of confidentiality. So I just want to make sure that everyone really understands that, and that they understand that doing a congressional is very, very important. And because of this affidavit, labeling, not me, but Leilani Hart labeling her husband as a threat to society, as a pedophile, as buying weapons illegally and possessing it illegally, as committing incest, so many felony crimes in there. It makes me shaky just to think about how bad these crimes are that Leilani Hart has accused her husband of doing, and not only her husband, but also her children. And so I think that since there is no clear consequences of this notarized affidavit, because it is an arrestable offense, someone has to be arrested, right? Someone. And James Hart is saying that he's clear. This is all just lies, and uh, Dallas Hart is saying it's just lies. Um, and Leilani Hart has it notarized and accepted by the CID and the FBI. Yet she has been arrested in the past. She is a convicted criminal for lying to law enforcement authorities, right? She has that. And we know for a fact that she lied to Kacherga. She lied to El Paso Matters. She lied to um, uh, who is that? Bob Moore, right? Bob Moore, El Paso Matters, KTEP, Kacherga, the El Paso um, society there, the community there in El Paso and Fort Bliss, when she uh, did that hit piece, she lied, right? We know that. So because there's no evidence, right? Evidence indicates a liar. It does not indicate what she was saying because, you know, they're both 100% disabled. So, just to say that. Um, and then they might be willing to work, but, I think they like their 100% disabled status and their monies that go with it. Um, then also, there is no bullet. There's no text messaging like, oh my gosh, this just happened. There's no El Paso Police Department being called and report. So there was just nothing there. Okay. And so what I'm getting at is that this congressional inquiry request by this soldier, we need to get behind it. And even James Hart can get behind this. And even Dallas Hart. They might not like me. I mean, James was like, I'm sick of you getting online and telling lies. And I'm like, I didn't tell any lie. I'm saying your wife put in a notarized criminal complaint affidavit accusing you of all of these things, and it is in my son's case. That's what I'm saying, and that's not a lie. Now, if you want to call anyone a liar, you need to do that to your wife. Okay? If you feel like you've been slighted and maligned, it has been by your wife, not by me. And there's no confidentiality privilege if there is pedophilia going on, if there is a 7-year-old being raped and a 3-year-old, wherever that 3-year-old was, and, child pornography being there. Okay. There's no confidentiality privilege there. And so, I'm reporting that this is part of Richard's case. And so I think, James, if you really understand that, you can get behind this congressional inquiry because you could have your wife arrested. Okay? You could have your wife arrested. You could have a good reason to get a divorce, right? You could have a very good reason to get a divorce. So, and the same thing with Dallas Hart. If he is, because, I did not go looking for Dallas Hart. I was told about Leilani Hart, and then I was told by witnesses that Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. was his platoon leader. That's, and I'm like, what do you mean? She has a son? Oh, yeah, he's Richard's platoon leader. Okay? And they said some other things about him, too, um, that would corroborate what's in that affidavit. And so, and this is multiple people telling us that Richard's platoon leader is Dallas Hart. And we have never been presented with evidence that shows that he was not Richard's platoon leader. That clears him from the accusations that his mother accused him of, right? Not me. I haven't even mentioned what the witnesses said about Dallas Hart. Okay? So, I think Dallas Hart could totally get behind this congressional inquiry request, can get behind this congressional inquiry, can put forth his own congressional inquiry and deliver and hand over all the evidence, his little pings for his phone where he was at, his orders, all his paperwork, all his finances. He could prove where he was at. He could get his mother arrested. He should welcome this congressional inquiry, okay? Because he could clear his name. Absolutely. Absolutely. He should be embracing this, and not only embracing it, but he should call for his own congressional inquiry. Let's make this an I am Spartacus moment. James Hart can put in a congressional inquiry request. Dallas Hart can put in a congressional inquiry request. And I think other members, and even Leilani Hart, she should be embracing this, because she could then, if she is right, then she can put the pedophiles behind bars. But also, she's going to have to take the consequences of the failure to report, right? She's going to have to take the consequences of things that she was involved in. So, but she has a long history of lying. She would absolutely benefit if she's telling the truth in this this affidavit, right? This notarized affidavit, to have a congressional inquiry, to have this all come out, to clear her name if she's telling the truth, right? So this is something that all those people that are just smears, or call me nuts or whatever, well, let's put our cards on the table. Let's get behind this soldier that put in this request for the inquiry. Let's write letters to Veronica Escobar. Let's write letters to Senator Cruz and say, absolutely, let's get behind this inquiry. Let's put our cards on the table. Let's put the records of the finances. Let us put, our pings. Let us put the evidence right there to clear my name. And, they can make me look foolish. They can make me look foolish. I'm willing. I'm already behind. I was just totally moved yesterday when I saw this congressional inquiry request, because it is just so on. And what moved me is that this soldier must have been listening to us, or there's a zeitgeist, because it's everything that we would ask for. Okay? And we could now ask for other soldiers to come forth that are being maligned, that their command is not responding to them, we can make it all better for the service members, the soldiers there on Fort Bliss by doing this congressional inquiry. If other soldiers feel maligned, if they have exhausted all of their avenues when it comes to their chain of command, then it is time to put in a request for a congressional inquiry. And you are not alone. You're not alone. You have the trailblazer already with this very courageous soldier, and we are behind him. And we're going to work very hard this week to prove that we are behind him. And I hope that everyone out there that's listening will lend him your support and ask for James Hart, for Jay Pollan, for Dallas Hart, for many others, Thomas Kane, and Ogle, those that have now become part of this case, to have everything laid down on the table, uh, all the evidence, so that we can get to the bottom of what happened to Richard without hurting so many people. We don't want Leilani to get away with maligning her own family like that if she's lying. If she's not lying, then, no matter what, there needs to be arrests, right? No matter what, because she just can't do that. And her husband and sons, they just can't do what they're doing. So, and remember, I need to post that affidavit again because there is no privilege and confidentiality for that affidavit. Okay? And, we need to get to the bottom of what's going on. And I think I know what this soldier has done. And we need to write Veronica Escobar and Senator Ted Cruz to also get behind this soldier, support our soldiers, because there is one thing very clear that Thomas Kane made, is that there is a security breach. There is problems in the JAG because they are banning key witnesses in a missing soldier's case without a packet, without investigating, without notifying, without giving that person a chance to respond, to defend themselves. I mean, that is absolutely criminal. And then, this soldier is saying you cannot report fraud, waste, and abuse because they are blocking you. They're blocking. So this is really, I think it is an I am Spartacus moment, and we need to get behind him, and we need to also put in those criminal complaints. If you are in Fort Bliss right now, if you are a soldier at Fort Bliss, maybe you're Air Force at Fort Bliss, and you have been maligned, and you know that your command is not answering your needs, look at Asia Graham. Okay, Asia Graham had been raped. She reported through her chain of command, and what did they do? They retaliated against her. They put her rapist, Christian Alvarado, that's an interesting character with interesting connections. Christian Alvarado, couple doors down from her. The next thing, she is deceased in her barracks room on Fort Bliss. Okay? We don't want things like that to happen. So if you are being maligned, if your command is not answering your concerns, which we just saw that they had a 14-year-old girl living in the barracks being pimped out. That means, rapes going on how many times a night for how many nights? And that when we put that out there, the responses we got back was, oh, that's nothing new. There's people living in the barracks that shouldn't be there, living in the barracks all the time. What? And we absolutely know that Thomas Kane gave the special passes to the party girls to come on to Fort Bliss for parties during the COVID lockdown. Okay? And they weren't 6-foot separation parties. Okay? I'm just going to tell you that right now. We know that. We know that that was approved by the command. We know that the soldiers were put into danger, and that those young party girls were put into danger. Okay? And so if you are a soldier on Fort Bliss, now is the time to show your support for this Fort Bliss soldier that is very courageous, that has put in a congressional inquiry request. And we'll see if we can give you more information on that. I'm just trying to respect the whole situation, because we have been threatened, we have been harassed, we have been bullied, and we don't want others to be that too. So I think the more we stick together, the more people that show him support, the better it is, right? Then it is, an I am Spartacus moment, right? That's what we need to do. So we're going to brainstorm this week how we can work together to get answers for Richard's case. Absolutely. That is our purpose, and I'm biased in that. I want to know what happened to my son, right? But also, I have a history. You can go on my Facebook. I have a history of patriotism. I love our service members. I used to clown for our service members during the Gulf War, during Operation Desert Storm and Operation Desert Shield. I've always supported. I should get out my little coins and everything, and awards. I've always supported our service members. Always. My father was in the military. My husband, 30 years. My whole life has been supporting Go Army. Go Army. Right? And I am appalled at the commanders right now. I'm appalled at the 4-star generals. Those that are wearing our beautiful uniforms with 4 stars. I'm appalled at their morale, their morals, their character, their lack of character, their lack of loyalty, their lack of integrity, their lack of honor, their lack of esprit de corps, their lack of personal courage, their lack of loving their soldiers, their service members. I am appalled how they've sold out this country, that they are working for foreign and domestic enemies, clearly committing crimes against humanity. I'm appalled at this, and this is why this lack of oversight, this lack of caring, they have an obligation to care for their service members, right? They have an obligation to train them to defend the Constitution. That is the whole purpose of our military. And I'm appalled to see what has happened to it. A military that I have supported my whole life. My whole life. And the purpose of this inquiry, absolutely, is to get answers of what happened to Richard. But also, we can make it, for the safety of the soldiers, the service members. We can make, absolutely, it would go into the safety of our country. Also, retrenching our military right? Because we need to hold those that have violated everything that the military stands for. We need to hold them accountable, and they need to be held accountable for being um, just up to no good, constantly up to no good, and and worse, and worse. And by holding them accountable, we can get them out of the uniform. We can get them out of our beautiful uniforms with our beautiful stars and stripes. We can get them out. And there's plenty of wonderful patriots out there that have a heart for our country, for freedom. And if you are a soldier at Fort Bliss, you need to know that there are good people out there, and they've been maligned. And that's why we need to put in this congressional inquiry to protect the service members, to protect the institution of our military, to protect our country, and also for Team Find Richard Halliday, to get answers to what happened to Richard. And I think if I think I'm right on this one, that this is something that everyone can get behind, that Corinne Adeline wants, that Chris Martin wants, that James Hart wants, that Leilani Hart wants, that Dallas Hart wants, right? They want this too, right? They want to protect our service members. They want to protect our country. They want to get to the truth. They also want their names back, because their names are part of Richard's case. I didn't put them there. They're there. They're there. I didn't go looking for Dallas Hart. I was told, and even Sammy can contest to this right from the beginning, and I have it on record, that, oh yeah, Dallas Hart, he's part of Delta Battery 143. He's the platoon leader for Delta Battery 143. Okay, and there's more. That was the start of it. And I'm like, what? What? So where is his orders? Where is his bank records? Where is his pings? That can all be presented, and he can even clear his name, really, almost like a notary, by taking a lie detector test. He could do that. But it is really curious, because the evidence we have indicates that he was Richard's platoon leader in Delta Battery 143, Delta Battery 143. Okay, and that he was involved in the forced disappearance and the premeditated, presumed murder of Richard Halliday. Okay, that's where our evidence indicates. So there is a difference of opinion here, and that's why a congressional inquiry, a lie detector test. I'm willing to take a lie detector test. I'm willing to show my finances. I'm willing to, and we have, and especially in this case, we're willing to do that. And I think Dallas Hart needs to do that, and James Hart needs to do that. Tavita Nusa needs to do it. Why did he lose his badge? Why did Dallas Hart all of a sudden get out after the whistleblower complaint, and all of a sudden he had to get out? He went green to gold. You just don't get out with green to gold. Okay, why did Clem Coward lose his command? Why did White, well, When I know more, I will talk about White. Why did Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick lose command? So there's so much evidence, and I think that we need to write Ted Cruz. We need to write Veronica Escobar, and we need to say, this is something we can all get behind, all of us, to get the truth out. We can find out about this white van, Pontiac, Montana. We can find out about the blue truck. Remember the blue truck? We can find out about Park University. Because our evidence indicates that Richard was taking courses there, including a criminology course with Thomas Kane. And then later, after coming back from Qatar, he was an intern for the CID. That's where intel is taking us. And we have requested Richard's academic records, because we also have intel that Richard made complaints at Park University. So we have complaints that he made at Child Protective Services, complaints that he made with CID, that the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday, and that he was making complaints to Park University. And so Leilani Hart was making complaints at Park University. And we would like to know if Anna Whitehead reported those complaints, recorded those complaints, made those known to the command, made those known to the DES, to the chief of security of Fort Bliss, because that is what she's supposed to do. And a congressional inquiry would absolutely reveal that information to us. And so we could also present all of the witnesses, the witness testimonies, and also the records of criminology of Leilani Hart, that she is a convicted criminal, that she has many different criminal complaints for harassment, that there was even a restraining order, a 3-year restraining order on her, and that she even broke that. She was even arrested. She was even, her own family reported her for domestic abuse. Okay? Domestic abuse. They tried to smear our family for abuse, but it's looking like they were projecting, because intel is telling us that the abuse was coming from Leilani Hart. Okay? The abuse was coming from Leilani Hart. So, I don't know why this affidavit that is notarized, that has a CID acceptance, an FBI acceptance, why it's part of Richard's case, but it is. And we need to get answers. And we have put in numerous letters to the CPS, FOIAs, to the CPS. We have wrote letters to the DA, to the AG, to the governor, to Judge Robert Shook on Fort Bliss, right? Open records request, to the command, to the VA, right? To Park University. More. I'm just dizzy thinking about all the letters that Rob has written out and sent out. And he would be the better one to talk about that. But absolutely, we have uh, tried to use every avenue possible in the command structure. The CID, the FBI, Quantico, CID, Quantico, we wrote them I don't know how many times. Um, so, Veronica Escobar, and we're going to write her again now. And so, we have exhausted the chain of command. Absolutely. And now it's time for a congressional inquiry, a congressional hearing, I think. That's how big this is. So we have even called out to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to give us information. So I think, when you exhaust all avenues, all your recourse, we have reached out to media. And this is always breaking news. And this is very, what they like, drama, um, with the threats that we've been getting, with the forced disappearance of our son, with the search of our house with a fugitive apprehension unit that is an assault unit without a warrant. That where is Miss Kachurga? No, what Miss Kachurga does, and Bob Moore, is it Bob Moore? I think so. What they like to do is use someone like Lalani Hart and not tell anybody that she's a convicted criminal for lying to authorities. I mean, this is, and has a huge history of harassment, of trying to ruin people's lives. Huge. And with that, with the affidavit, let's talk about Dallas a little bit. I wrote a few things down here about Dallas. He's like, I don't have any, I'm not part of this, blah, blah, blah. No. Your mom is part of this. And multiple people identified you. And you are a uniform member that your mom is saying committed incest. Okay? And also was in a house with child porn. That's serious stuff. You're in this case whether you like it or not, Dallas. You're part of this case. That's why you had a call. And all you have to do is clear your name by taking that lie detector test, by submitting your own request for a congressional inquiry, for handing over your orders, your pings, your financial records, right? And clear your name, because you're part of this whether you like it, because you are a serious suspect. You are a serious suspect. So what does that mean? That means that you need to be investigated. So why not get behind this congressional? Why not put in your own congressional? Why not come clean? And you separated and left El Paso. Now, why would somebody that kept so close to El Paso, so close? I mean, you're talking about New Mexico State University. You're talking about being going to school in El Paso, going to college in El Paso, then doing your green to gold in El Paso, then being stationed at Fort Bliss right there in El Paso. Then all of a sudden you want to move away? You're a serious suspect. And those things need to be explained, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. Especially when we have multiple people identifying you as Richard's platoon leader. Okay? That's, that's big. And committing crimes while in uniform, as your mother said, not me. Not me. This is your mother. And I know that Dallas Hart and James Hart, that they already have made complaints to law about their mother. Okay, domestic abuse about their mother. So now is the time to do it again. And that's why you need to get behind this congressional inquiry. It's really important. I think anyone does. And I think I wanted to mention Anthony Swafford again, the MP that was like, I know the character of Richard. You do? You do? Who'd you hear that from? Guard Mount? Okay. What did Guard Mount come from? CID. So was that Marlon Soto? And now here you are. This is 2 years later, 2.5 years later from that confrontation. And I'm like, wait a minute, you don't know my son? But even if you thought that what Marlon Soto was telling you is true, that doesn't absolve you from being a military police, right? You still have to go and look for the soldier. You still have to look for the soldier. And it doesn't absolve you from being a soldier. No soldier left behind, an army of one, esprit de corps, good Samaritan, Medal of Honor ethos. And as a military police, you should absolutely know that. Absolutely know. Innocent until proven guilty. And you should absolutely, instead of hindering, because this is why we had to make the criminal complaint against him, because Anthony Swafford went and tried to stop people from helping us find our son. So this is a military police trying to stop us from finding our son, right? So if you have come across the Anthony Swaffords as a soldier on Fort Bliss, where they absolutely are negligent, and not even negligent, but totally derelict in their esprit de corps and their duty and everything, then this is a good time to make a request for a criminal inquiry, so a congressional inquiry about the situation on Fort Bliss, because the military police were debunked or botched. Let's say that. The military police botched. IG? Guess who's... yeah, the IG is botched. The CID, Tavita Nusa having an affair with Leilani Hart, botched. VA, you have James Hart having an affair with his co-worker at the VA in charge of the medical board for disability, botched. You have Thomas Kane as a professor, up to no good at Park University, botched. No connection to us when we reach out, botched. Him being also the DES and also the chief of security of Fort Bliss, giving access permits to young party girls to come onto base during the COVID lockdown, botched. Letting a 14-year-old girl live in the barracks being prostituted out, botched. Security breach in every way. We have CPS connection, botched. CYS connection, botched. When I say CPS and CYS, I'm talking about the all the children on Fort Bliss, including the emergency intake center, botched. We know that's botched because we have 85,000 plus minors unaccounted for. Is that what Richard was complaining about? What was he complaining about at Park University? Right? What was he complaining to the CPS about? So, this is a real problem on so many fronts. So many fronts. Not, and then we have JAG. Let's not forget JAG, because the congressional inquiry is pointing out JAG blocking any kind of reports, concerns on fraud, waste, and abuse. Botched. JAG is botched. The command is botched. Park University botched. IG botched. CID botched. MP botched. VA botched. I mean, this is so big that we need to get behind this congressional inquiry for the health and welfare, safety, for the defense of the Constitution, which is the land and the people. The land and the people, the service members, of course, the community, the wider community of El Paso, and also the community that extends, because I was there. I've lived in that area. I was born at White Sands. It extends into Mexico. Okay, it extends. Those are Siamese cities, El Paso and Juarez, Mexico. Very easy to do trafficking, very easy to do all kinds of nonsense. That's why we needed a lot of oversight. That's why we need Ted Cruz's oversight. That's why we need Veronica Escobar's oversight. That's why so many botched cannot be tolerated. All these botched things, these botched agencies and institutions cannot be tolerated, because we're talking about the safety of our service members, safety of our community, safety of even reaching over the border to those, our neighbors that we're supposed to be friendly with, right? And now we want to get to what happened to Richard. So, yeah, if you have any questions, I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Yesterday, the live stream, we received the information about the congressional inquiry right before I came on. So we really didn't have much time to think about it, to respond. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. Very appreciative of that. And so today we really wanted to stress how we needed to get behind this soldier and protect this soldier. This soldier is taking a risk by going over and above his chain of command and reaching out for a congressional inquiry. So we need to get behind him. If you have, yes, 100%. And I think, we've been brainstorming today, even at church, how can we get behind him? And we'll let you know more tomorrow. So, but one thing is to tell other soldiers that they can also put in a congressional, and to tell the Hart family that this is their chance. James Hart has been in this divorce, ugly divorce, for years with Leilani. This is a great way to resolve so many of their problems. So this is something we can all get behind. Absolutely. All of us, and no complaints from anyone, because clearly we all want answers and we want this resolved. So the nation needs to be behind Richard and this other soldier. Yes, Danielle, thank you so much. So that is that's the break. I mean, we even have more breaking news, but I'll be on tomorrow once I get my head around this breaking news. But I can tell you this much, that this congressional inquiry has delivered more witnesses in this case. And that's good news. That's great news. So, inch by inch, morsel by morsel, we're getting closer. And we just really want to thank everyone for their long suffering, their waiting, their praying, their support, their love. Um, all of these months, all of these years. And I will be back tomorrow. God willing, I'll be back and um, with more breaking news. I can tell you that right now because we just got breaking news just now, and I have to think about it, how I'm going to present it, and I'll do that tomorrow. Okay, God bless you, and until then, we love you.